So what's up, y'all? Happy 4th of July. Listen, there's a lot that's going on with these federal student loans. There's a lot. So with the Trump's budget bill passing yesterday, that sent a lot of student loan borrowers into panic. And I get it. It's rightfully so. There's just so much that is happening with these federal student loans. But one thing for me is when it comes to all of this information is just getting an understanding of what exactly does it mean. And for a lot of borrowers who are currently in the SAVE plan, there's a decision that has to be made and what it is that you are going to do next. Are you going to sit around and wait for you to be ultimately forced into another repayment plan? Or are you going to go ahead and get yourself out of that plan and get into one that is more favorable to you and what it is that you're trying to do on your student loan journey? But one thing for me that I just cannot just I have to look at this information because every time when I see something new with federal student loans and I think about the amount of harm that has been caused to student loan borrowers throughout this process, and where there seems that there is no route in a sense for borrowers to take, it infuriates me. Like it literally infuriates me because it is a shame that student loan borrowers, those who are not just borrowers who don't want to pay, because I don't believe, and I've said this in multiple videos, I do not believe that there is a student loan borrower out here that on purpose doesn't want to make their student loan payments. Okay. For whatever reasons throughout this process, you may have gotten there like, you know what? Screw it. I'm sick of dealing with the system. Y'all done screwed me over. I'm not paying. Get it. Catch me if you can. But I don't believe the heart of people who took out student loans, who went to school, got their education, that they went into education with the thought of taking on federal student debt to not pay it back. Me personally, I just don't believe that. Maybe I'm naive. But anyways, one thing that I do is I go to the Department of Education's website, and I like to look over the information that's on the website because it all tells a story for me, and like I said, I'm more or less into understanding how the systems work and what things can borrowers do as far as to protect themselves and to hold these agencies accountable. I sit in a lot of webinars and um, all kind of things that I do, and I sit on those sometimes. And there's attorneys that are in there, actually student loan attorneys, and they as well are just like, listen, it's a process, just trying to figure stuff out. No one is really like that I've seen as far as with solutions to help borrowers outside of either going into a bankruptcy or just continuously to file complaints, whatever the case may be. That is what I have been coming across when I go to these webinars, and I understand, these are all tools and avenues that a borrower can take in order to um, try to mitigate the harm of the student loan. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, okay, that's all cool and all that we file bankruptcy, we put these complaints in, other ways to get you to forgiveness through these different forgiveness programs. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, okay, well, what about the underlying harm that the Department of Education has caused? And it's like literally right in our face every single day. We can see it in black and white. When you go to the Department of Education's website, one of the things that I like to read over is I like to know what the status is, what is happening within the department, what is the state of student loan borrowers and where things are currently. And when you go here, now this mind you, this information, hasn't been updated since April. So this is documents or this is information from April 21st. And it talks about where the state is of federal student loan borrowers. And it tells you more than, well, 42.7 million borrowers owe more than 1.6 trillion in student debt. More than 5 million borrowers have not made a monthly payment in over 360 days and sit in default, many for more than 7 years. And 4 million borrowers are in late stage delinquency, meaning they are 91 to 180 days late, meaning they're on their way to default. As a result, there could be almost 10 million borrowers in default in a few months. When this happens, that would mean almost 25% of the federal student loan portfolio will be in default. 25% of the federal student loan portfolio will be in default, meaning that when these student loan borrowers are in default, that means the collection on these student loans is no longer for that monthly payment. That means that the Department of Education is coming after these borrowers for the entirety of that student loan, garnishing wages, all kind of things that can happen to borrowers when they go into default. But then here, only 38% of borrowers are in repayment and current on their student loans. Most of the remaining borrowers are either delinquent on their payments in an interest-free forbearance or in an interest-free deferment. A small percentage of borrowers are in a 6-month grace period or in school. They tell you Almost 1.9 million borrowers have been unable to even begin repayment because of processing pauses put in place, but they say this by the previous administration. Since August 24th, the department has not processed applications for enrollment in any repayment plan, such as income-based. And so, mind you, these things have already been done. But we know that with the current administration, there was a processing where they took down the applications for borrowers to actually go into income-driven repayment plans. But not only that, we can also see where we are. There was the status report because the American Federation of Teachers sued the Department of Education. And there was a status report that was released here, and this was released on um, June 17th. But what we see, what is the status of income-driven repayment plan applications? So we know that we're over 1 million plus in pending in just applications. Just that's just pending for you to even get into an income-driven repayment plan. Now that we have the Trump budget bill that was passed, we know now that when it comes to borrowers who are in the SAVE plan, or not only that, if you're in the pay as you earn plan or income contingent repayment plan, that these plans are going to be phased out eventually. They're going to be phased out eventually, meaning that borrowers will have to be you'll have to go into a new plan, which will be the income-based repayment plan or the RAP plan that the administration has introduced. But for those borrowers who are in the SAVE plan, what exactly is it that you do? First and foremost, we know that there is borrowers who are like, hey, I'm going to ride this out. PSLF buyback is an option for me because I'm in a SAVE plan, and the Department of Education did not take away the option to purchase back the months that you spend in forbearance under the SAVE plan. But we know that things change all the time when it comes to these student loans, and that the buyback program could be something that could be taken away. But as it stands, we also see what the status is of application request. So for just pending as of May 31st, over 58,000 PSLF buyback requests. And we still haven't got the most updated one for June, to see if this number has gotten any bigger or is it still, at or lower. So we don't even know what the backlog is for this buyback request is even like. But not only that, when I speak about the harm and everything that has happened to borrowers as far as the miscalculating of payments, how these servicers were putting borrowers in forbearances and deferments improperly, like all of these things that have been taking place, and you're trying to get yourself to get your loans forgiven under either income-driven repayment, or even if you qualify for public service loan forgiveness, for some borrowers, the reason why you may not even be at your 120 qualifying payments for public service loan forgiveness could be due to the fact that you were improperly placed in a forbearance or improperly placed in a deferment. And if you're trying to fight with the Department of Education to get this information, like it's just such it really just bothers me, when you think about it, as far as how much a borrower could have been harmed and could have been done with these student loans a long time ago if the systems in place were fair, okay, and they were doing their job and there was proper oversight, and you know it's just all of that. It's just, and I don't want to go too much on the rant, but I just look at that. But when it comes to the SAVE plan, and I've been keeping up with the case as well, for the SAVE plan, with the injunction to see when things are going back to court. So when it looks like um, the last order that was put in was on May 6th of 2025, but it says that it is ordered that on or before August 4th that they come together and file a joint status report advising the court of the outstanding matters. So what I'm thinking, and just by looking at that, could we have a decision as far as with the SAVE plan, as far as them, completely canceling out the plan, which that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's what it looks like. But well, yeah, because we have the RAP plan and then with the budget building. So yeah, we know that this plan is going to be phased out. But what my thing is how are they, or how soon are they going to put borrowers who are in the SAVE plan back into repayment? Like how soon are you going to have to transfer out? Um, Not only that, are you going to have to recertify income? Are they going to require those who switch out or be transferred into another plan to recertify their income? Like how is this all going to look? But I just sit and I look at all that. I look at this memorandum where they talk about the errors with converting borrowers into save, how things went wrong with just converting borrowers into the save plan, how monthly bills were all miscalculated, how not only that, borrowers were not receiving billing statements. If they were receiving them late. Like all of these things that were happening. And I'm just like, we're talking about a system here, loan servicers who are already inundated. As we can tell, we know they are already inundated with information or applications and not able to get things processed in a timely manner. Not only that, Mohila was actually just having borrowers to resubmit their IDR applications. Like if you submitted one prior to, I believe, April, I can't think of the date, they want you to resubmit it. So it's just like, and you look at this big, beautiful bill, and you just look at the contents of it, over 1,000+ pages, 1,000+ pages. And what I do is I've been going through the titles, and um, I go and I look at here when we get to the Committee on Education and Workforce. You go look at this and start reading through that, and just trying to get an understanding for yourself to see what is going on with all of this. And it's a lot. It's a lot. But it's just I look at all this and even here, I'm like, less than a year ago in October, the Department of Education was withholding money, over $7 million from Mohila. This is less than a year ago. And now we've got borrowers who they're saying, when you look at this here, and we're talking about all of these borrowers who are in default and who are delinquent, and due to what? Due to what? But yeah, that probably was a little bit more than. But what I will say for those of you who are in the SAVE plan, there are decisions that you have to make that are within the best interest of yourself. And what that means is educating yourself about these repayment plans, especially income-based repayment, because we know income-based repayment is going to be the plan that's going to be here. And we know that they removed also the partial financial hardship. They're no longer that's not a part of that plan anymore. So you don't have to have that partial financial hardship in order to get into income-based. So what that means before, you do any transferring over or being forced, go and see what your payments will look like. You have the option to do that with going through the loan simulator. So that's on the student aid website under loan repayment, and just go through the loan simulator in case you are required to certify your income, because I'm we don't know. If they do require that you certify your income, this is where you can go and just kind of get an idea of what your payment will look like under your current income, and just go in and plug the information in. So that way, if you are forced to, and I don't know when they are going to require borrowers to get out of SAVE, like I said, that most recent thing I've seen with the case, they're reconvening on the 4th of August. But you don't want to, wait till last minute and then, you're all, unprepared. So I also go into the student aid website and log in and just plug in the information and get an idea. You don't have to submit anything, but just to get an idea of what your payments could look like potentially under, income-based repayment, just in case, just in case. All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens, y'all. We'll see what happens.